On Behind the Headlines this week, we redirect our lens to what has become the biggest story in Kenya this year. On the 1st of September 2017, the Supreme Court of Kenya annulled the presidential election, a judgment that has been termed historic not just for Kenya, but for Africa. But behind the scenes, the intrigues were many. As the presidential petition kicked off, the race to shape the narrative around the case and the 7-judge bench hit high gear. So what role has propaganda played in the presidential petition? And will it be the ultimate fall of this court, the highest court in the land?
Now, 13 members shy.
From the very beginning, Kenya's 2017 general election was a high-stakes event. The presidential race had attracted the same frontliners that had headlined the 2013 poll. Longtime political rivals Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga would have another chance to square it out at the ballot. And so the strategies to woo the voters had to be different. As the campaigns hit high gear, it slowly emerged that the campaign teams and online supporters were relying heavily on the new global star of propaganda: fake news.
And today we're taking a look at fake news, especially on social media. So, courtesy of Africa Check, we've come across a few checklists for what to do on Twitter.
We are in that age where big money has married politics, and so narratives will be created and the money used to ensure that certain narratives are the ones that end up being consumed with the intention of decisions made in a certain way. That's the world we live in.
Because of these developments in technology, people are propagating fake news every day, sometimes even doing funny things, and people have to keep checking whether something is true or not.
With politicians, they'll always try to find a way to control the narrative, what the media is covering, because that is the consumption at the end of the day.
By the time the presidential results were declared, with the opposition side disputing the process, the attention was slowly shifting to the next key institution, the Supreme Court. But as the world wondered whether Raila Odinga would indeed take his concerns to court, his political team was already shaping a narrative about the Supreme Court.
All is there for the people to see. Yes. And there are occasions when you have gone to court, even it's something as clear as daylight, as you point out, the proceedings have been frustrated. So we are not going to go for that invitation to go through a judicial process. We are going to the court of public opinion.
Strategically, Odinga's National Super Alliance saved the decision to the last minute, filing their petition just as the deadline was lapsing. Naturally, the conversations on television and social media sites changed, and the Supreme Court was now in the spotlight.
The court, in a world where propaganda and social media are ruling the day. And what I need to do is to coin a narrative, spin it around, and it tends to take the day. We are living in a world of Cambridge Analytica ruling Brexit and ruling the US elections.
KTN News enlisted its senior reporter Sophia Wanuna to cover the petition.
Yes, good afternoon, Akisa. Quite a number of dozens.
She was one of the few journalists who had covered the 2013 presidential petition.
For a while, but this is because we want to just show you very quickly where the courtroom.
She knew her way around the court and understood the processes that would follow the filing of a presidential petition.
Hello, Sophia.
But from the very beginning, she realized that this year, a new challenge was emerging for journalists.
The propaganda machinery was on level A. Managing the narrative was crucial and important to them because that's what it's all about. What people are watching, what people are hearing. Whatever actually happens, it's a whole different thing. You know, political commentators and experts will tell you it's about managing what is heard, managing what is said, managing what people perceive.
With speculation and propaganda around the case rife, the court enforced a strict rule on sub judice, announcing to the public that discussing the merits and demerits of the case was off the table. Offline, the gag order stood firm, with mainstream media and commentators avoiding discussions on the merits of the case.
What if there is a tiebreaker?
Online, however, the story was different. But what mattered was how news crews were reporting the case. As the hearing began, the journalists covering the petition would quickly realize that their biggest test in this assignment was separating the fake news around the case from the truth.
So what you'd find a lot of the time is, you know, whether it's this side, this camp or the other, there were sides both trying to come in with what they felt were the angles, the important information to come out. And I say important in quotes because they felt that would serve whatever narrative, whatever agenda they wanted to be out there. So this was something politicians did not leave to its natural course in as far as proceedings in court they wanted to manage.
But as the general public followed the court proceedings, behind the scenes, the political camps involved in the case would try any means necessary to show that they had the upper hand in the trial.
When the scrutiny was done, when it was ordered, I remember very clearly being on air, and we were already hearing from parties that were present in the scrutiny exercises what they had experienced. And of course it was differing. Jubilee would say this has been the experience of the scrutiny, IBC would say a different thing on social media, and NASA would say a completely different thing. So I remember at one point going on air reporting on what one of the sides was saying, and they're being outraged from the other side saying, no, we were also present, but this and this did not happen. So, and that was, I think, the clearest moment in how important, crucial it was for these parties to control the narrative.
Even the political analysts and even the anchors and the hosts may have appeared to be driving a certain narrative. And there's nothing, I mean, if you do that with care and with balance, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you do it with some recklessness and with some open bias, then there's a problem with it. Because remember, for every narrative you have, there's a counter-narrative to it. So if you are driving a partisan narrative, you are also actually hyping the reactions to it that is also partisan. So what we need is sense. What we need is middle-level, moderate conversations, and not conversations that are either extreme left or extreme right, because what they tend to do is to fan and to animate. They polarize us and they animate us in our hardened positions. Right now, what we are having as a country is that people are hardening. Those who are holding this position are holding it. Those who are holding this other position are holding it. Now, it doesn't help us to move forward. What we need is people to cede their positions and move towards the middle and say, fine, what do we do in the circumstances? We may not be happy with this, but then what is the right thing to do?
After the break, on Behind the Headlines, the newspaper splash that left individual judges in the spotlight.
Now, 13 members shy